We love that.
We have circuit DJs, and then we have a lesbian.
That's me.
That's how you.
Wah, wah, wah.
I feel very lesbian chic today. Can I be part of your clan today, Faye?
You totally could.
It's going to be a fun show. Lots of interesting things to talk about.
Yeah. Oof. Let's do this.
Well, good evening, America, and welcome to It's Happening Out, the world's most popular live gay television talk show. You know the drill. It's Wednesday, it's 8 p.m., it's February 10th, so that means it's happening out. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and let's start right away by meeting tonight's host. If it's happening out, our show tonight has a roster made up of LGBTQ community titans. Watch this. First up, this is Power Infinity, an original host at It's Happening Out. He is a hybrid diva DJ. I do that every week, and Power rolls the eyes at me inside.
Every week, girl.
Every week, girl. And in addition to that diva DJ thing, one of the LGBTQ community's strongest political voices. Good evening, Power.
Hey, child. I'm getting ready to get this show on the road. Let's get it started.
That's right. And this is Faye. What? She's a radio host and has a popular YouTube channel and anchor of the new LGBTQ travel news show, happeningout.travel. Good evening, Faye.
Hi, good evening. Happy to be here.
And this is Tarek Turjaman. He represents diversity by being, get this combination of words as you shuffle your shoulders, queer, Guatemalan-born, and Palestinian host and comedian living in Miami. He's the creative director of South Florida's House of Yas and Villain Theater's Queer Performance Art Collective and Florida's only all LGBTQ plus improv comedy show. Welcome, Tariq.
Hello, free Britney and free Palestine.
And this is Athena Dion. You know her. She is one of South Florida's brightest and most beloved drag performance entertainers. She is CEO and founder of her premier South Florida drag entertainment company called Dream Queens. She has won the titles of Ultimate Miami Drag Queen and South Florida Gay News Best Drag Queen of 2020. And is also known as Miami's very own Greek goddess. Good evening, Athena.
Let's get it poppin'.
And this is first-time visitor as host at It's Happening Out, Nathan Jasper Artiles, an FTM trans man, and their pronouns are he, him. He is a 22-year-old Cuban born and raised in Florida. And he is currently studying computer engineering. It works for Best Buy's Geek Squad and considers himself an, oh dude, I was going to say it anyway, a huge nerd. Can take apart and put back many kinds of things, including computers, TVs, phones, you name it. Good evening, Nathan.
How are you?
It's going to be fun having you here. And this is Dan Rios, Miami-Dade County's most important voice for LGBTQ tourism. He is the director of LGBTQ marketing for the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, the official destination marketing organization for Greater Miami and the beaches. Good evening, Dan.
Hello, happy to be here.
All right, so good evening, America. We'll be looking at my timer in just a moment. We are the first and most popular live LGBTQ talk show in the world. So much to talk about next on It's Happening Out.
This week on It's Happening Out. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Well, welcome back. We begin tonight with happening now breaking news. I wonder what's going on in the news. Anything? Oh, yeah. Trump impeachment. It's overwhelming America. Gay slurs. But at least we got one more senator. Watch this.
I said I'd be an impartial juror. Anyone listening to those arguments The House managers were focused, they were organized, they relied upon both precedent, the Constitution. I said I'd be an impartial juror. Anyone listening to those arguments, the House managers were focused, they were organized, they relied upon both precedent, the Constitution, and legal scholars. They made a compelling argument. President Trump's team were disorganized. They did everything they could but to talk about the question at hand. And when they talked about it, they kind of glided over it, almost as if they were embarrassed of their arguments. Now, if I'm an impartial juror, and one side's doing a great job, and the other side's doing a terrible job on the issue at hand, as an impartial juror, I'm going to vote for the side that did the good job.
Wow, allow that to wash over you. The LGBTQ community is watching history, a significance perhaps as great as the Civil War, or Hitler's attempts of domination in the world, or our democratic fight during the Cold War against the Soviet Union. The impeachment trial for the last 2 days has been breathtaking. We learned the chant from the mob, "faggot," was aimed at the Vice President of the United States as they were storming into the halls of the heart of America's democracy. And they wanted to put a let's hang Vice President Pence and put a bullet in the brain of our Speaker of the House. And the case for conviction has gained at least one more Republican vote in that process. What are y'all's thoughts tonight, day 2 of watching the impeachment trials?
Oh, let me start. You know, one of the craziest things is that we were beginning to see the true colors, everything that was actually there. And, you know, that's what's the most disturbing of all, because, you know, now we really see what it is that we're up against. And it's very, very disturbing.
I mean, I always saw it. I grew up in Guatemala, and we storm our Congress every year. No joke. You can Google that. We did it in January. That's cultural appropriation, and it's devastating. This is third world behavior. You know, it's not why I moved here.
Third world
Third
behavior.
world.
It definitely is. Maybe fourth world, because, you know, in Guatemala, the storming of the Congress this time around was because people were starving, you know, and they were desperate. It wasn't, you know, it had nothing to do with white supremacy or, you know, a group of people like the supporters of Trump.
Can I just say that it's funny that, you know, I don't think many lawyers were going to take this case for Trump, and he had to find this, like, circus act that he has now. And that's what's funny to me, the fact that not many lawyers wanted to take it, so there basically is no case to take. Like, it's almost like it's obvious what it should be, but it's still not going to go in the right direction. And that, to me, is the most, like, gripping part of this whole thing. It's like it's an obvious right and an obvious wrong, and we're sitting here like, oh, we really have to decide what to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, on TV, everyone's watching it. How stupid are we? Or how stupid are they? How stupid do they think we are to sit here and buy this? You know what I mean? It's a shit show. Excuse me.
How inhumane can you be? One senator, we got one additional senator, that's it. Only one that had the cojones to say, this ain't right. I can't continue following my party just because it's the Republican way to do things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And more of these videos are gonna come out and more things are gonna come out. I mean, I'm overwhelmed. Like, it's a lot. It really is. Like, to see just, this was an inside job, guys. You know, there's more to this that's going to come, and we're going to be more and more petrified by the results. And no, he's not going to pay for any of this. Tito is going to get away with all of this.
And we're not going to pay money-wise.
Yeah.
We're paying for all this as the taxpayers.
And what is it? Do we think it's
You know-
fair? I mean, why are they opposed to seeing the truth or admitting the truth here?
Well, I can answer that very easily. It's because the Republicans are the Republic cowards. You know, I find that, you know, I put up a meme today. I posted a meme today that said, we find the president innocent by reason of we don't care if he's guilty. And that's basically the GOP's stance. But can we get back to the point where the crowd was yelling faggot? I want to point that out. I want to really highlight that because, again, for those who I've argued with, scalped, and dragged for the last 4 years, when I keep telling everybody that Trump has pandered to a base of homophobes, transphobes, racists, xenophobes, and they're like, oh no, Trump is he's such a uniter. He's so pro LGBT. This is the exact example of why we knew Trump to be the low life underbelly that he is, because this is the base that he attracts, a base that will use a word like that and think it's okay because that's what their leader inspires them to do. This is proof positive yet again.
Yeah. You know, I want to, for people, of course, I'm in studio today, so I've watched every second of the trial today. There's a soundbite that's going to come out of the trial, probably, well, definitely this evening. Rachel Maddow is going to destroy tonight based on it, but definitely tomorrow. One of the things that has been leaked very passively in today's testimony is that the first group of rioters that came in were very organized. They showed the pictures from the security cameras for the first time, never been seen before until today, of them coming in. And the first ones that came in were in complete riot gear with shields. It was planned. The first people that broke into the Capitol, it was planned as rioters in full riot gear. Among them were Proud Boys. And one of the most vocal, that has 6 charges, serious FBI charges against him, was filmed in the security camera right outside the Senate chambers when they couldn't find the Pelosi Pences that they were searching for, and was texting and received a text that made recommendations of where they likely were in secret, in hiding. And someone internally in the text knew where they thought they would be, which means there is, for the first time today, for me to learn, there may be inside participation in this event. That is going to be a world astounding all-stop moment if that turns out to be true. And they teased that today just slightly, but they're going to return to it. And then the second thing that I think is just absolutely incredible, Power, I have to tell you, I thought about you all afternoon, and I want to say this out loud and clearly. I have done my best since It's Happening Out started to be at least a propeller of the conversation with conservatives. That's gone. After what I've watched in the last 2 days, especially today, that's gone. We are negotiating with terrorists. And being a terrorist does not necessarily mean that you've picked up a bat. You have used your voice to create terror in America. And I know who you are now. And there's no negotiating with you. There is no giving you a platform of equal and fairness, because you're out to destroy me and us. I will never forget what I watched today.
Well, it's interesting, and just so that the audience has some background, the reason that Al pointed at me when he gave that statement is because Al is a better bitch than me. He really is. He's more into being kumbaya and, let's break bread. I've always been sternly on the side of, I ain't trying to break no bread with nobody that's trying to break my head. And I've said that. I've been very resolute in that position, and I say what I say and I mean what I say. This has just been a negotiation with terrorists, as far as I'm concerned, for the last 4 years. All they've done on January 6th was shown what I've already known. So no, I'm not interested in peace like the river with Trump supporters, because that's a whole new breed of stupidity.
Yeah, and the proof of that point, one of the other things that you're going to see over and over again is the senator from Nebraska, along with Ted Cruz. There's 2 of them, the dynamic duo. The senator from Nebraska went up into the gallery today and sat back, put his feet up on another chair all by himself, and read a book.
Couldn't be bothered.
Couldn't be bothered. Not even
through
important.
the entire thing. We're going to keep watching. I hope you're watching closely. It is so important that you are. We're going to move on. We'll probably come back to it, but let's move on for now. We remind you that you are watching a live and unedited LGBTQ talk show. So anything can happen. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and click the bell for updates. If you're on Facebook, like and share the video and start a watch party. It's easy. Let's do something a little lighter and begin with how we've always started It's Happening Out, and that is the meme of the week. We are in the middle of pandemic. A vaccine has begun. We have some optimism now. And if you follow Power Infinity's social media, he often scores highly suggestive and shares highly suggestive nakedness. No matter what it is, there seems to be Power always naked. I just can't quite figure this out. It could be while he's fighting Trumpsters or he's eating spaghetti. It doesn't seem to matter. There's Power nakedness. Well, I thought of him this week when we saw that. And so it came to mind. The meme of the week is called, "You just had to roll up your sleeves, sir."
Any excuse will do.
Yeah.
Any excuse will do.
Wasn't this guy on the boat in Puerto Vallarta? I'm serious. I think that they identified him literally based on a nipple.
that-
Like, it was either this one or another one. I'm not even kidding you. Where a similar photo
It
was
was-
taken. It was another one?
It was another one.
Girl,
Yeah,
and
I
he
know
was
what it
in the
is.
boat.
It was another one, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was
And that
another
bitch
one.
was on the
They-
boat going down, and they identified him based
This-
on his nipple.
Yes, they clocked him
They
based
sure
on
did.
his nipple. One thing about gays, we know.
I
We
know.
know
I know
about
a
it.
nipple.
I don't give a damn.
We'll recognize you more with your clothes off than with your clothes on.
Oh,
That's
by the way,
right.
Okay.
everything I just said about Power's social media is now true, and you can never take that back. You've just lost in a court of law. And Power, weren't you also in Puerto Vallarta? I can't remember.
No, ma'am.
no.
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's our meme of the week. Next, let's play our yes or no drinking game. It's called I Swallow That. That was really good on me and the nipple. We invite you at home to play along with us as I ask our host 4 questions. Agree, they take the shot. I have them right in front of us. We all do. If they disagree, well, it's going to be a long night for me. Everybody ready? Then let's play I'd Swallow That. Question number 1. I'd swallow that. It's Valentine's Day. I've got plans already.
Well, I have plans.
All right.
Wait, we drink if we do
Look
have
at
one.
Power going to
You drink if you agree.
secretly do a little.
If I agree, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're agreeing with me if you have plans.
I mean,
Valentine's Day is
I don't
important to you, and
We're not
you've got
specifying
plans.
what plans, but I have
Right, I'm
plans.
not. Well, I'm hoping you'll tell us every or it's
Sticky
detail.
Or video it.
Right. Valentine's Day, big deal for the gay community, LGBTQ
Not
community.
bad. It might be a big deal to some people. I just think it's super commercialized. Every day should be Valentine's Day. I love my wife, and I don't need a day to put white chocolate all over her body and lick it. You know, it's just
How
that's
about dark
just that's just Tuesday at my house. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
plans,
I'm
whatever.
gonna agree with Faye. For me, Valentine's Day, at least in this house, is every day. I mean, it's just another day for me to get my esophagus bruised. So that's happening.
Okay, and how about in Guatemala? Valentine's big. You're single, by the way.
Yeah, I am
welcome
single.
to the dating game.
Hey,
and
let's
over
date.
the next hour.
Yeah.
It's-
No, I'm not doing anything for Valentine's Day. Okay.
It's singles awareness.
I am
Wait.
headlining this weekend at Villain at our Valentine's Day show.
Yeah,
All
you have a
right.
Valentine's
So you know,
Day show.
the life of
Oh,
a tortured artist.
And congratulations from learning from Power Infinity. Always plug
Always.
the events. Or Athena Dion. Always plug the
I mean,
event.
speaking of which,
Or
I do
your
have a
choice,
Valentine's
yeah.
show as well.
Oh my God!
Let's get it all out of the way.
It's on a
Your-
Sunday,
love
so we
it.
have 2
Get it out
freaking
now.
brunches and a dinner.
at our
free.
house. in the-
So I'll be
All right.
busy. I don't have time for no Valentine's, nothing like that.
Exactly.
I'm booked, bitch.
Okay, and I'm curious, is Valentine's a big deal in the trans community?
Yeah, I would think so. We are very sensitive men.
We're very
I do
sensitive.
love Valentine's Day. I will be spending it with my coworkers, working all day. So,
So
that's my Valentine's Day plan.
You're very sensitive in the trans community, and apparently in Guatemala, it's very sad.
We should just team up.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, let's move on to question number 2. I'd swallow that. After Trump is not convicted, He is going to roar back in voice and power. Is he coming back?
I'm drinking. I'm
Really?
not
You're
drinking that
drinking
water.
that?
I'm not drinking that.
Only
No, no.
because you just can't keep an evil bitch down.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that
he's
why?
over. I
No
think
way.
what's coming
He's-
is Ivanka,
Y'all-
governor of Florida.
Yeah, it could be Ivanka.
I think we're done with them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm
Well, I
scared.
want to
I'm
hear.
scared of
Well,
Jaironka.
Listen, lots of people would be super optimistic if you said he's done. This is going to just kill it.
Girl, they cut his Twitter off. That's his lifeline. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to hear much from him. Nobody wants to. I feel like everyone's like, just, we don't want it. The Republicans don't want any association with him anymore. You know, they're like, keep him quiet. Yeah, enough.
Like literally, if he was a comedy act, 4 years is it, honey. Like you're done.
He
Your
has
whole
to run.
Cheeto fat look, it's not working. It's done.
There's
It's
no more
boring.
nothing else gets to
It's
do.
boring. I used to want to see what he wrote or say just because I
On
wanted to
purpose?
keep up. Not on purpose, but you would still kind of log in or whatever. But no, now I don't even think he could get his own people to have interest
would
in
say
him.
it's
Ivanka, though, they're gonna sell her as this Republican Barbie, okay? And we're gonna swallow that pill. I'm not.
I don't know. I
But
think
unfortunately,
him-
I believe a lot of Floridians gonna swallow that pill.
I think
So,
a ham is a ham.
so-
You know, he is just dying for that spotlight always, and he's gonna find a way to be in it. That's just the way he is.
Well, and he can't go back to TV anymore because he got dropped by SAG, so he can't
lost
even
his
do that.
card.
He can start his own network.
I have a comment and a question for Tariq. Is that your name? I don't want to pronounce
Yes.
it wrong. So my comment is, I just think that he's going to be too busy defending himself in other criminal investigations and litigation to really have much time to roar or even meow. But to Tariq, do you think that after this, he is going to be able to provide comedic material for you and for others?
No, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Interesting.
We're not doing it anymore. It has to be really good.
Yeah.
You know, and then some venues have even asked us not to anymore, just because
wow.
people were fighting in the crowd. You know, we have a huge Cuban and Venezuelan community, and I've been in venues where the crowd got
70
into
million
it because they
people are not
support
going
Trump.
away.
This happened at a brunch show, actually, when I mentioned Trump. It was actually right after Biden won, and we were talking about it, and I made everybody raise a glass for the new president, and there was one table that was very like visually like, no, don't raise the glass, like making a whole point like they were Trump supporters, and I was like, oh, bitch, well, we're going to carry on and celebrate whether you like it or not.
And
you
you're
know,
at a
they're out
drag
there.
brunch,
And-
really?
Yeah, and
Right.
a guy actually snatched Daisy Deadpedal's wig off her
Yes.
head one night because Daisy had made a joke about Trump, and he came up and snatched her wig off her
She
head.
was doing Melania. She
What?
ripped her wig off.
Listen, that guy is lucky that
Yeah.
Daisy didn't beat the living crap because Daisy's little, but she could kick some ass, all right?
Exactly. All right.
People
let's-
come to
let's
Villain
move on.
Theater and
Question
try to
number
talk about
three.
it. Sorry.
Question 3, I'd swallow that. I love this new progressive pride flag that is being circulating of black, brown, and trans versus the traditional rainbow flag. What do y'all think about it?
I love it. We have it in our dressing room at Villain to remind everyone how we roll. I love it. I think it's more inclusive.
Look,
and it's
everybody's.
actually cooler.
I think people are upset. I heard somebody say that it was like a disrespect to Gilbert Baker, who had made the first original flag 30 years ago. But back 30 years ago, when it came to gays, the only gays were white gays. That was it. Now, fast forward 30 years. I just think it's ridiculous that people don't want to have this new, more inclusive flag that includes the trans community, that includes black and brown. I mean, it's like shitting on everything that we've done the last 30 years by not changing the flag and not flying it high and proud.
Can I provide a direct contrast to that observation?
Please.
When the rainbow flag, I understand that it was a white guy in San Francisco that did it in the 1970s, but there's no white in the rainbow flag. And the recognition of white, there is nothing that overtly says male in the rainbow flag. So why isn't it possible for us to just go, well, the Constitution was written the way it was 220 years ago, and that's just the way the Constitution was. Why can't the rainbow flag be representative of everybody without doing anything for it? Why is that not possible? Without having to go farther to say, well, it's got to be male, it's got to be white, it's got to be black, it's got to be brown, it's got to be trans. Why do we have to do that?
Well, I actually think that we have to do it because it's obviously not representing some people. So if some people aren't feeling represented, it's not me or you but if they're not feeling represented, we have to do something about it.
And please allow me, remember this is my job as moderator. Okay. Why can't we work more with the Black and the brown and the trans community specifically to be more inclusive, where the rainbow flag represents all of us, where if I'm Black or I'm brown or I'm trans, I feel a part of the flag? Why can't we do more there as opposed to change the flag?
I think coming as a trans person, I think it's more of, we came from this, when we look back at history, we're like, oh, this one flag, that was great when we were all accepted, but now we've gone through so much since then. So now when we look back at history, we're like, hey, this was a monumental time where we were like, look at all that trans people are facing or Black Lives Matters are facing, and we want something to represent that. Like, hey, we went through this, here's our flag to represent that. While back then they were completely facing a completely different thing. We've obviously gone through so much since then, so this is kind of like a moment in history that we want to define, and our flag is our way of representing that.
Does anyone else agree with that observation?
I think he is so cute, but I didn't hear anything he said. I heard nothing. I heard snip,
like a
and then I like felt like bringing him my Mac to fix.
I can fix it. You can bring it to me.
Did anybody else besides me not take the shot?
I didn't take the shot, but I kind of wanted to explain myself.
I didn't do it.
I do too. I'll go after Athena.
Are you sure? Okay. I mean, look, like I said this earlier, I love the fact that the conversation is about including the trans community, including the Black and brown community. I love that we're talking about that and not talking about should we even fly the flag at all. You know what I mean? So I'm glad we're at a point where we're even talking about this. My whole thing is, and it's so controversial, and I'm really, it's very hard to discuss because you don't want to step on anybody's toes or come off the wrong way. But my whole thing is that I saw that rainbow flag growing up, and to me, it represented just me as a different person. I never saw it as a white male flag. I never saw it as a white gay male thing. I mean, I grew up a little Greek boy in the South, to be honest with you, and I didn't really identify with white gays or white men at all in general. So for me, it never stood for that. And I don't know how it got kind of hijacked to stand for that. I don't know when it shifted to say this rainbow flag represents only gay men. I never knew it to represent that. So by adding the colors, of course, visibility is important, but why do the trans community, the Black brown community, do not see themselves already in the colors that are on the flag? That's the conversation we need to have. Why are we not helping them feel more included in the original gay flag than making them feel almost even more separate with the colors? I feel like that's even a more distinct separation when you're adding those colors in there to say, you're part of this rainbow. You've always been part of this rainbow. Let me remind you why you're part of this rainbow and how we got to this rainbow. You know what I mean? I feel like we kind of missed the message of the rainbow in the shuffle, I guess is kind of where I'm coming from.
I have a couple of thoughts on this. The first thing I wanted to mention is that the actual Gilbert Baker flag went through a couple of revisions in the early years, so that already shows that there was room for evolution. And yeah, I agree. I mean, I grew up with the rainbow flag, and it represents something for me. It makes me happy. But the fact that we weren't reaching out to the trans and the Black and brown communities before is perhaps why we're looking at this change now. Had we done it in the past, maybe we wouldn't need to be doing it, but we clearly did not.
And Power, I'm going to give you the last comment.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear both sides of the argument, and this is one issue that I'm on the fence about because I can see the need for the inclusion. Let me just state that including Black, brown, and trans colors on the flag, that in and of itself is not going to make Black, brown, and trans people feel more included in our community. It's a great, symbolic gesture, but that is not going to, especially when we see still a lot of racism in our community. But I will say this, if it does make you feel better, if it makes you feel more included, then I'm all for it. I didn't drink only because the question asks, do you love? And no, I don't love, but I'm coming around, I guess.
Exactly. And Power's absolutely right. We had this conversation within the first month, 2.5 years ago, of It's Happening Out. We talked about the flag and the movement of the Black and brown editions in Philadelphia. So there has been evolution there. See, even Power Infinity can evolve. That's nice. Let's move on to question number 4. I'd swallow that. The next 4 years, after what we've watched over the last couple of weeks, the next 4 years are going to be the best 4 years for LGBTQ since the Stonewall riots.
I mean, maybe in the first world, but coming from the third world, coming from the Arab world, I know that most of our queer brothers and sisters and non-conforming people are living in fear and living under the fear of being arrested or murdered or ostracized or losing their job. You know, my friends in the Middle East can't live the way I do. My friends in Guatemala can't live the way I do. You know, they come here and they go crazy, you know, because they can. And I know that there in many places in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia, things are getting worse, and Latin America. So I don't know. I think the 4 years are going to be worse.
We're going to talk about the president's memorandum this week in Saved by the Bell. So I will specifically comment on that, about the international standards in a moment. Other people, thoughts? The next 4 years going to be the best ever?
You know, I didn't drink to that because I'm actually nervous. I think that we took our hand and we ruffled the bee's nest, or the wasps are all out and about, and I think that we actually have a lot of things to deal with coming our way, and not only in this country, but like, you know, Tarek said, globally.
Dan, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this, so please, you'll forgive me for asking this question.
Uh-oh.
But the bee's nest that you fear we have shaken is frequently is a predominantly older LGBTQ point of view, as opposed to Gen Zers at 20 or 22 that don't care about the bee's nest being shaken up. Do you agree with that? That maybe that's a reflection of your fears based on your perspective, based on your experience in the community, versus a younger perspective? What do you think about that?
I agree a little bit, but I think that it extends far out from the community. I think that we've ruffled feathers outside of the community, and the people are showing true colors and antagonizing the LGBT community because they see us as a threat, and they now feel they have license to come after us. Yeah. And that's the part that scares me.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this next best? Is it going to be the best 4 years? Anybody else?
Just gonna speak it into existence, you know. If I say it's gonna be, hopefully it will be. So.
Yeah. So you plant the flag and then
Yeah.
you just pursue it no matter
Yep.
what. That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Let's leave it right there because I think that's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
Next, let's catch up with the news of Hollywood and the world of entertainment. We call it Celebrity Hot Topic of the Week. Tonight, we're going to discuss an interesting moment with Caitlyn Jenner. Watch this.
I wanted to ask you.
Uh-oh.
I know, like, sometimes...
I didn't do it.
Sometimes people get really confused when Kendall and I still call you Dad.
Right.
I know we had a talk a few years ago and you were, you know, okay with us still calling you Dad, and how do you feel about that now?
I feel it was one of the best decisions I made. And sometimes this community can be pretty tough, especially when it comes to pronouns, and everybody's got an opinion, and on and on and on. But I really felt from the beginning that I got to do it kind of my way that works for me, and I think everybody out there has to do it their way.
Totally.
Which works for them. Some people say, "Oh, you're the mother." No, I'm not. I'm the dad. I've been the dad the whole way. I will be their father until the day they die or I die.
A trans female says, "Call me Dad." Caitlyn Jenner is one of the world's most famous trans people. What do y'all think about this moment, this very raw moment that we saw?
I usually don't agree with her, but but actually this time it was actually very nice to hear, because it has to be your own way, and we have to get over the idea that your genitals and your identity equals you can mix those up as you see fit.
There was a lot of negative reaction to this.
Yeah.
A lot of negative reaction from the standpoint of mixing the pronouns, of saying it's okay for me to be Caitlyn Jenner and it's okay for you to call me Dad. That contradiction in big sections of our community was very incendiary.
I mean, I see where she's coming from. it took me a while to finally, even coming out to my family, it took a while for them to adjust to my pronouns. And sometimes I even wanted to make it easier for them. And I was like, I know that you're used to me as this, and now I go as this, so I know that's hard for you. But really, like she said, that's everybody's journey. It's what works for her, what makes her feel comfortable, what makes her happy. We can't force anybody to go as something that they don't want to go as. Like that's everybody's journey. So I believe she should do as she wants, and whoever she says she is, that's who she is, and she should be accepted for that.
Preach, gay
You know,
squad.
I think that just because we as a society can do something, I don't think that that means that we always should do something. And I say that to say that just because everybody has a right to an opinion doesn't always mean that your opinion holds merit or holds any value or validity. And I find it strange that people feel that they can try to dictate how this lady goes about in her journey, in her life, in her decisions with her family. Like our other guest said, I don't agree with Caitlyn Jenner on most things. But this I certainly agree with, because it's not my place to tell her how to interact with her family or how to have a dynamic with her family. If she wants to be called sir in her family, that's her fucking business. You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't life be better for the entire LGBTQ community if internally in our own community we embrace that philosophy of acceptance much, much more?
Definitely.
And maybe that's one of the big issues. Maybe that's the pride flag issue.
Yeah.
We just don't respect ourselves internally in our own community enough to be able to get to the acceptance and Power just said. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I think we're also traumatized. I think we act a lot out of trauma, you know?
I think we were just getting this platform, to be honest with you. I think we have been silenced for so long. And now, like within the last few years, we're finally, the whole community is given the same microphone. And everybody's screaming what they want to be heard about. And we want to be heard about. And nobody's listening, talking, or we're all being heard at the same time. Yeah. I think the problem is we are being, thrusted into this spotlight, that we were kind of like not ready for. How do we handle it? How do we explain it? Why is it our job to explain it? Why haven't you tried to understand it yourself? You know what I mean? And I think this is that tumultuous point where we're kind of, the water is still doing this. We haven't settled yet on what we're comfortable with. And another thought I had is that, society wants to put everybody in a black and a white box. You know what I mean? A boy or a girl, straight or gay. That is not how this works. You know what I mean? If she's a woman, she wants to be called dad, that's okay. It's not hurting you. If you don't want her kids to call her dad, don't call her dad. You know what I mean? You don't have to call her dad. It's not your problem. So I think everybody needs to kind of like mind their own business and also listen more and respect more, what everybody's experience is.
And look, in my house, I want to be called lesbian diva queen, and that's what they're going to call me. That's
Exactly.
it, So if she wants to be called dad, let her be called dad. That's it. It's her journey, not yours.
My favorite pronoun is Your Majesty.
I've got to call you lesbian
diva queen.
Diva.
Listen, if you want to teach a straight man about pronouns, call him girl. Be like, shut up, girl. If he's like, I hate pronouns, shut up, girl. What'd you call me? Exactly. Right?
Okay, well, and by the way, did anybody have any reaction to Caitlyn Jenner being allowed to be seen without makeup on?
She had
I was
makeup
like, blend,
on.
blend,
It was
girl,
like makeup
blend.
on makeup, girl. Come on.
A little bit, but not the way you normally would see Caitlyn Jenner. Did that surprise anybody?
No.
We showed it.
She was getting painted. I mean, she was getting painted. The whole point was for her to sit there and get painted, right? So it didn't really strike me as funny that she didn't have makeup on because she was getting painted.
Yeah, okay.
Move on out, child.
Girl.
The executive producer of It's Happening Out has just told me to move on, and I do what he says. All right, that's our discussion on entertainment. Next, we are going to report that Happening Out Television Network helps support our LGBTQ community. We're passionate about helping our 501c3s, especially in a year of pandemic. An example is here at the Sunshine Cathedral. This is the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale, and we're broadcasting from our permanent set in supporting that partnership. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the entire world, with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Athena Dion, drag performer known from performing on South Beach and in Mykonos. And Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Yes.
Girl, you look great there. We'd also like to.
Why y'all let me wear that wig? You're so wrong.
Really? You don't think you look great there?
I loved it.
This prompt I don't want to talk about.
All right. All right. I thought you looked great. What do I know? I have no experience in drag at all. Oh, wait. We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible. And finally, we'd like to thank It's Happening Out's hotel sponsor, Best Western I-95 in Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our host and guests stay at this LGBTQ ally partner. If you come to South Florida, and when you come, we encourage you to stay there. It's Happening Out would like to bring attention of the LGBTQ community to the best thing of the week. And this week it's called, well, let's watch this. It's a new book called On Fire. And this is what French firefighters do in between putting the fire out. It's a brand new book that's come out, and it brought all of us to a stop of. It was a combination of some calendar, charity photos, and it's turned into a book, which you can get at Amazon. And what do y'all think about firefighters?
I'll set myself on fire in France.
Put your hose on Athena.
I mean, they're pretty hot in Miami too. I'm just over the firefighters. There should be like a nerd calendar.
What?
Nerd calendar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, Apple
like
guy.
fixing computers and shit. Things we need, you know.
Yeah.
Real-
We don't need firefighters, right?
We don't need firefighters.
Who needs them?
They're
Who
so
now
like
cares about
pre-millennial,
firefighters?
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T-Rex said he's over them.
I'm over
he was never under
firefighting.
them,
Thank you
right?
for
Like,
bringing
come
in the
on.
nerd.
Now,
Let it burn.
They're mostly Paris in this new book. Dan, Paris firefighters or Miami-Dade County?
All I can say, looking at that, is ooh la la.
You like the French. Okay.
Do we
Well,
romanticize about firefighters? I mean, if there was a hot calendar of, say, sanitation workers, would we
Septic
go up to
tank
them?
cleaners.
I could give every answer and every sentence that you would give depending on the pictures that we share. I already know the answer to that. Yes, we are. In fact, I'm going to be challenged to find sanitation workers to see what happens.
There should be a COVID doctor nurse kind of calendar.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
That should
All
be-
right, well, let's move on with our segment called What's on Your Mind. Each host is getting ready to tell us in just 30 seconds what is important to them this week. But remember, in just 30 seconds, or you're going to hear this bell, and I'll ask you to stop. Power Infinity, let's start with you. What's on your mind this week?
Okay, well, what's on my mind this week was the fact that we saw a lot of clubs and a lot of gay parties and events advertise Super Bowl party themes. What we didn't see was diversity in those ads. Once again, you had a lot of Super Bowl ads that were advertised by gay clubs, and they were all white men. Mind you, 70% of the players in the NFL are black. So this once again points to the fact that we have a race issue in our community. We need to stop whitewashing our community and setting white as the only standard.
And interesting point. Faye, what's on your mind this week?
From racial injustice to pussy. I lost my cat on Monday. My cat of 20 years passed
Your
away.
pussy cat.
My pussy
Oh,
cat, yes. My pussy cat passed away on a Monday of 20 years. She was my companion. She was with me when I came out, when I got sober, when I got my implants, when I broke up with someone, when I got stalked, when I went to jail. She was the one I had to put somewhere. Like, she was everything to me. If you don't own a pet and you have a friend who lost a pet, be nice about it. Don't ever say it's just a pet. Trust me, you will get unfollowed and unfriended real quick.
Interesting. And Tariq, what is on your mind this week?
Oh my God, I was raised by Britney Spears, and Diane Sawyer is a horrible person. She needs to apologize. Also, woman to woman, she shouldn't have given that interview like that. It was creepy to watch. Justin Timberlake sucks in so many ways. Free Britney is really what I've been thinking. Free Palestine all my life. And you should come to Villain this weekend because the gay shows are crazy on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, very good. All right. And Athena Dion, what's on your mind?
Listen, I just watched the Britney documentary too. I'm sorry to be repetitive, but it was so eye-opening. I grew up with Britney, and they made her to look like to be such a Looney Tune and just so unstable, and she really wasn't. She was such a homegrown girl from like Louisiana, and it just makes me wonder, why does she still have this conservatorship when she is fully capable of running her own life and making her own decisions? And I think there's some abuse there, and we need to get to the bottom of it because she is being mistreated, and there's something nasty going on behind the scenes. So,
and
free
let's
Britney.
not even get started on that father. Not even started. Yeah. All right. And Nathan? Nathan, what's on your mind this week?
So I'm currently in the process of getting top surgery within the next
Congratulations.
month or two. Thank you. But what's on my mind is really the difficulties that trans people face, or even non-binary people face when dealing with like insurance companies, and how hard it is for us to get these surgeries. I've gone through a mission and a half to be able to get on testosterone to get this surgery. Everything. I have to travel to San Francisco to even get it covered, which I think is insane to me. So just really all the difficulties that we faced in order to be comfortable in our own body. So I hope that changes soon.
Excellent. Thank you. And Dan Rios, what's on your mind this week?
I got to tell you, I keep thinking, what is wrong with people? I walk down the street sometimes and I see these groups of people walking around with no masks or wearing chin guards as masks. And I'm like, we're in the pandemic, people. Come on, get with it. And that's what's on my mind a lot.
All right, very good. That's what's on our host mind this week. Next up at It's Happening Out, if we were standing around the proverbial LGBTQ water cooler, what would we all be talking about? We refer to it as our hot topic of the week. And tonight we discuss what has been years in the making from the now President Biden. Watch this.
This is a disease and a blight on America, this disease of homophobia. And we can end it. And we can save my grandkids, my great-grandkids, and thousands of Americans. And the rest of the world will repair to the American standard. God love you, and may God protect our troops.
Was that this week? No. That was in 2018, before he announced he was even running for President of the United States. This week, President Biden issued a policy memo putting the United States at the forefront of global LGBTQ rights. He instructed all agencies of the United States of America across the world to support anti-LGBTQ discrimination efforts both by the United States and from other nations. The intent of the memo is to have the full weight of the United States of America and the voice, the personal voice of the President of the United States to push back against the approximate 70 nations that have criminalized being gay. Many human rights organizations have suggested this week that the President may now be the most powerful LGBTQ voice on this planet. What do you think?
I think it's very important to send an international message, and he better. The world needs it. Just like it was important to take Trump out of power, to send that message internationally, because, honestly, dictators are running all the major countries in the world right now. It's just as important to transmit that message with gay rights. because everywhere in Europe, everywhere, gay rights are being depleted.
We did a story, by the way, this week on Queer News Tonight. President Erdogan of Turkey said in a statement that LGBTQ people don't exist in Turkey.
Oh, wow.
There is no such thing. He said that.
I assure you they do.
They're all in my inbox, I'll tell you that much.
They invented the bathhouse, come on.
Girl.
Other thoughts about what the president plans to do through the State Department? He echoed the memo at the State Department in terms of what the State Department is going to do. He gave credit to President Obama. Obama did a memo similar to this in 2011, and he said at the State Department he was building on that memo. But everyone in world advocacy of human rights said this goes way beyond anything that President Obama had planned on in 2011. Other thoughts?
Well, I guess that blows that whole Trump is the most pro-LGBT president thing out the water now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You know, I just, you know, when I was in the 90s, you know, growing up as a little kid, I didn't come out till I was 20, which was in the 90s. But if you had asked me what I thought 2021 would look like in terms of the LGBT world and our acceptance, I would have told you by that time the whole world would accept us and we'd be all Candyland and rainbows. And to think that it's 2021 and we still have 70 ignorant countries that are stuck on stupid. I mean, that is what really blows my mind. And I'm very, very proud that I was one of the 81 million that voted in a president that actually cares about people and humanity and not just about a base.
Other thoughts? The president's memo.
I think it's good that we finally have somebody that's on our side, especially even being able to enlist as a trans person myself. Now being able to enlist is everything to me, not saying that I'm going to go do it, but at least I have that option just as any other man would have. That now I feel like I'm a human and I have somebody that's actually on my side now.
You know, Nathan, I want to draw specific attention to the point that GLAAD and the HRC has pointed out. In the first approximate 20-some days of the President of the United States, they point out that no president in history has spoken so much to this point to the trans community, trans protection, trans universal rights, trans incorporation in society, and anti-discrimination in every possible way than this president and vice president. How does that make you feel in that the abuse that took place in 4 years almost universally being changed and going way farther in terms of acceptance? Where do you think that, what's the trans community thinking about what they're watching?
I think it's finally become like kind of a safe place for us now that we can finally be like, yes, I'm trans. We have protections with insurance that now we can be like, hey, I want to get on hormone therapy instead of being denied or having to go through so many processes. We're finally like in a place where somebody sees us. Somebody's like, hey, it's okay to be you and we're going to protect you to be you. Like, obviously there's so many attacks on trans people or people that don't believe that we exist. And it's just glad to finally have somebody that's like, hey, I see you and I appreciate you and I want to help you get to where you need to be. So whether it's non-discrimination in workplaces, like me personally, I did not come out as trans in my workplace. I was able to go in and I'm completely looked at as a man. My name is changed. Even legally getting my name changed was so much easier now with all these laws passed that I don't have to be changing it for a legal or a marriage purpose. I can now do it just because I'm trans and I'm going through all these therapies and stuff like that. So it's finally nice to be heard and be seen and have all these things for me. I'm finally like, yes, I can be who I need to be. And I have people there to do that for me.
Very well said. Any final thoughts? I want to point out we reported this just tonight in Q News Tonight. It'll make wide news tomorrow. Fox Radio tried to trick the press secretary, Psaki, in the transpositioning of the president, and pressed the press secretary late yesterday in saying, well, the position of Biden on trans is really not in the way he's expressing it, because if it does, it means that all bathrooms are going to go the way of the wind, and implied in very discriminatory terms how the Biden executive order and words about trans really couldn't be done. And the press secretary, and asked, are you sure that Biden really means all of this? And the press secretary, which we reported tonight in Q, said without even blinking, basically, I don't understand what you're not understanding. Trans rights are human rights. That's it, period. And completely shut the Fox reporter down. End of story. And that's what he's doing in every kind of L, G, B, T, and Q. Who would have ever thought the President of the United States would have been the #1 gay and LGBTQ advocate in the world? We didn't know that in 1999, for sure, that would be possible. Let's move on. There are lots of silly and important headlines in the news this week, and of course we want to hear the observations from our host. We discuss them in a segment called Saved by the Bell, but there's a twist. We are only going to discuss each one of these topics for 1 minute, and at the end of the minute, you're going to hear, again, this bell, which means the host that is speaking's got to stop and move on. Everybody understand how this works? Got it. Playing our game of the headlines. So here we go. Remember Barry Druitt Barrow? Well, let me remind you. Last year, he made international headlines when his daughter, Saffron, introduced him to her boyfriend, then boyfriend, Scott Hutchinson. Later, the news broke that he and Hutchinson then got into a sexual relationship. Tough news for Saffron. But this week, the news even got a little juicier. Saved by the Bell, headline #1. First, her ex-boyfriend got engaged to her dad. Now he won't shut up about how good their sex life is.
Oh, poor Saffy.
What do y'all think?
Girl, this is a scene out of that Say Uncle porn. I'm just saying, not that I've seen it, but I've heard about it.
Does she have to call him dad too? Like, I mean,
yeah.
God, I thought I was having a bad week. Jeez.
I'm glad she dodged that bullet. But, you know, talking so much about their sex life. That's what happens when gay people can't come out, and then they come out at, like, very old, and they can't help themselves.
Exactly.
But enjoy, girl. I guess you're making up for lost time, you know?
There's 30 years difference between the two. Do you kind of cheer one or the other on for that, or does that make any difference? 30 years.
Is that their baby? Did they adopt?
It doesn't make any difference. My question is, how is her relationship with her father?
That I don't know. That's interesting. How many times have we talked about dad, daughter have had the same sexual experience with a partner? How many times have we done that? Ooh. Interesting story. Quaker Oats pancake brand changed its name this week to Pearl Milling Company. So, Saved by the Bell, headline 2. Aunt Jemima, did you hear? She's dead at 132, and the cause of death wasn't COVID-19.
I don't know about you guys, but I guess I have PTSD or something. But I know I see Pearl Milling, but I still see Aunt Jemima.
It's Aunt Jemima.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's it. It's staying that way.
Yeah. Aunt Jemima forever.
Get a Sharpie and write it on it anyway.
What do you think about that power? Aunt Jemima forever.
I mean, I understand that. I understand why they did it, but I think that at this point, you know, it's, you know, like our special guest said, at this point, you're still going to see Aunt Jemima on it. You know, you're still going to see her face. It's really not going to make a difference.
I guess for the new generation that grows up with pancakes, I mean, if they're going to be eating gluten anyways, right? They won't grow up seeing Aunt Jemima, you know?
I don't see why.
That image could continue to hurt.
Like, she passed away, so they changed it?
That's our joke. She's dead at 1:30.
Yeah.
No, child.
oh my, did he just say that? Did he really just say that? You're
Girl.
so cute.
Why'd they change it?
They got you cute.
Girl.
There's this thing called racism. We could talk
Let's
about
have
it
a
later.
little
Oh, is
sidebar.
that what
There's this
happened?
thing
with
called
her?
Black Lives Matter that happened a little while ago. Were you
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
Were you under
No,
the
I
computer or
actually
something?
got here.
That's the soundbite. That's the soundbite of the night. Why did they change it? She died.
I thought she actually died. I was like,
Girl.
I didn't even catch the
Oh my
132.
not-
Yeah, I didn't think that's
I
like
can't.
132.
I can't.
Like,
All
I was
right,
like,
now,
wow, that's a pretty
now,
long
now
life.
you give first,
Oh,
the first time
Ah.
here It's Happening Out.
All right.
You're
Don't laugh
doing
at it.
great. We're
Thank you.
very
I
happy
try.
you're with us. And, by the way, I went over the 60 seconds by a long way just so we
You're
can
welcome.
get to that. That's great. All right. It seems the LGBTQ community identifies with Britney Spears. We've talked about it a couple of times
Oh.
already. Bullying, addictions, family problems. Saved by the Bell headline number 3. New documentary is gaining celebrity support for the hashtag Free Britney movement.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Yes. Have you seen her Instagram lately? I mean, anything she does, I just feel so much sadness whenever I see her now, where she used to be so powerful and such like a beacon for young girls and strength and girl power kind of thing. You know what I mean? And now it's just, I feel so sad because we don't know what kind of trouble she's in. You know what I mean?
They have
Where,
stripped
where
her
do you,
down
where
to
do you see
nothing.
this documentary? I'd like to know where can
it's
you
on Hulu, right?
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for it.
Go watch it. It's gonna blow your mind.
It is gonna blow
And then you
your
look
mind.
back and everything we watched about her in the news, we thought was so normal. Like
Yeah.
they're asking her so many questions and we never questioned it. And now it's like we're like, how could you get away with asking her these things? Like, are you a virgin at such a young age? And what did you do to break Justin Timberlake's heart?
Yeah.
And her stupid
Oh, I'm
brother
gonna
saying
watch that.
the women in my family
Yeah.
are so loud and da-da-da, they have too many opinions.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you talking about?
Listen.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
And Diane
disgusting.
Sawyer, I
No.
couldn't deal with her.
Yeah.
The
No.
way she kept making her feel like she did something wrong to Justin, the way she was victimizing her was like, and I remember watching that interview and not seeing all that.
They drove that girl
So,
crazy. They
you know.
drove her crazy.
They definitely are drugging her
And
too.
at the end of the day, one of the things that I think is interesting about Tariq's observation is, would we make fun or harm people that have been in addiction, alcohol or drugs? Because that's what really caused the issues that made her look crazy when she was 25.
Well, if
it's
you
been-
think of the people we mostly victimize, alcohol and drugs, Brittany, Lindsay, they're all women.
Yeah.
Men go to rehab, men do this, we even praise them, Rick James
She was
So
in
it's
a
a-
toxic
died of an addiction, we
environment.
praise him, and may he rest in peace.
masculinity issue is what.
But
Very much
even
so.
men, we glamorize their drug addictions, always have.
Interesting. All right. Well, Anthony Fauci is one of the great LGBTQ heroes for his efforts in the last year to try to survive Trump and allow science to trickle into our lives over COVID-19. But this year, and in fact, this week, he was asked about his early days in the 1980s and AIDS. Fauci was at the forefront of that pandemic. He shocked many on how he learned about how AIDS was spread. Saved by the Bell 4, number 4. Dr. Fauci talks about visiting gay bathhouses in the Castro and in Greenwich Village, and also visiting bars and behaviors to study HIV. And he saw gay sex in the bathhouses, and that's how he learned about transmission.
Did he visit with clothes on
he did
or
it.
off?
Yeah, like so he did a deep dive.
He
I mean,
went- well,
He said, I'm here for research, scientific purposes only.
That's what
Ignore
Athena
me
said.
while I take note.
In the name of science.
in the name of science. He
Oh,
went into
that's
the
a good one.
bathhouse.
Okay, well, as a bathhouse Betty myself, I will say, yeah, I'm gonna use that too. My decades in bathhouses was also for research.
For research only.
Yeah.
Research
For science,
purposes
you're a
only.
man of
Same here. Just want to get a better understanding of this culture.
Right.
Right.
I think people that's what science is.
Yeah.
You go and you observe and you take notes and then you put that together. And
was
he
in the
needed to
trenches.
know what gay men were doing that was making it so transmittable to them. And
He didn't know what they were doing.
One of the things.
But like, how do you observe? Like, how, I mean, like, so he was in the dark room in the sling area. Or, I mean, like, what was going on? What
I
is
guess he
happening?
could've
Glory
Talks
hole.
about this as wandering through the bathhouses
He's just
of
wandering.
looking at how gay men were having sexual encounters, especially with multiple partners.
Oh, I can't. I would have checked out.
I can't wrap my brain around
I
that
would
one
have.
either.
I would have checked out. I'd just taken my trick and go home, girl. We can't be sitting there. There's some lab
He's got a
coat doctor
notepad.
watching us.
Fauci's taking notes on you. Yeah.
All right. Well, Turkey's President Erdogan is in a special hate group with the presidents of Russia, Iran, Poland, Hungary, and Brazil. Saved by the Bell headline number 5. Turkish president says LGBTQ plus people don't exist in Turkey.
Those words came out of his mouth, like
Came
legit,
out of his
Al?
mouth
Yeah.
this week.
I
Said it
mean, I've been to
exactly.
Turkey, but I guess all those guys were straight. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Turkish
But
background.
no, there's definitely gay people everywhere. But I think these dictators, what they're doing, they're coming together, and just like in this country, they use gay rights to get votes because they can't, based on their economic policies. They don't make sense on what they really want to do. So just like women's rights, gay rights, trans rights, we're being, killed for nothing for votes.
They're
really.
trying to erase it.
So this is ridiculous. He knows it's ridiculous and inaccurate, but they
In
all go with
Turkey's
this narrative.
largest university, over the weekend, 600 students arrested at the new chancellor, which is a president of the largest university in Turkey, is an Erdogan ally, very anti-LGBT, and there's protests going on the campus, especially among the LGBTQ community, and 600 students were arrested just simply being associated with gay flags because of it. And his response is, wait, it doesn't even exist here. They're immoral. Morality is a big word that he uses a lot, but they don't exist. So I guess we agree that gay people do exist in Turkey and everywhere
on earth.
Everywhere. I hope he gets explosive diarrhea.
He's an idiot.
He's an idiot for sure. But there's still a lot of idiots in the world, and we have one living 38 miles north of us as we speak. We're the LGBTQ community, so let's move out of Saved by the Bell, and let's have some sex and relationships, just not the kind that Power was talking about earlier. Let's play another game. Our game asks, who would you do, why would you do it, and what would you do with 3 different people? Tonight, our game, of course, is called Shag, Marry, Chop. And our theme is the Super Bowl. This week,
I'm out.
congratulations to Florida's Tampa Bay Buccaneers for its dominating win. My hometown, Lakeland's hometown football team, where Power is. And by the way, Power, we're talking about sports, so try to pay attention now. Come on. So this week, we are going to play with the sexiest players that played in that Super Bowl. And that includes Super Bowl sexy champion Tom Brady. And he, of course, plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Super Bowl sexy champion Patrick Mahomes from the Kansas City Chiefs. He was on the losing side, but still super sexy. And Super Bowl sexy champion Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady's bro friend from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's play Shag, Marry, Chop. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, or Rob Gronkowski. Power, let's start with you.
Me. I thought you. I'm sorry. I hear my name randomly.
Tom Brady's his political stances aside, I think that I would, let me start with the shag. Okay, so I'm going to shag the Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk.
I don't know who he is, but just from the photo, he looks very shaggable. He looks tall, and I can climb him, and I think that we make great babies. And then I would marry Tom Brady and tell him that the babies I made with Rob were his, because he's probably the richest and the most high profile. So that would be great for my
Always
brand.
going for that money, that perk.
Yeah, of course. And then Patrick was on the losing team, so that makes him a loser. So I don't want to get with him.
All right.
He gets the top.
Just FYI, to Power's reference, Tom Brady has received a lot of criticism in the LGBT community, specifically because of his support of Donald Trump. Gronk came out of retirement. He was also a New England's Patriot player and was retired and came out of retirement to come to Tampa to play with Tom Brady again. Faye, let's play with you. Who would you shag?
Let's play with me. So I'm going to shag Rob Gronkowski because I saw Gron and I thought of groin. So I thought of his groin. So I thought about shagging, right? So there you go. So he is
Groin,
shagged,
man.
all right? Marry Patrick Mahomes. He's adorable, adorable, adorable. And even the losing team gets a lot of money, power, by the way. And Tom Brady, I can't put his political views aside. Freaking Trump-loving, kale-eating mofo. I can't. I can't.
off the
Chop,
table
chop.
for that?
But I'll take his wife
Yeah.
as long as she doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. And Nathan, let's play Shag, Marry, Chop.
I don't. I can't. I'm not sexually attracted to any of them. Really. I don't know what you want me to say here.
Now, we didn't have this conversation in advance, so it's
Yeah.
willful suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
If you were.
If
who would you
okay,
shag?
all right. So, I would say.
'Cause I don't know if you know this, Nathan, but at the end of the show, you don't get to have sex with whoever.
All right. Okay.
This
So
is
now I can play this.
deal.
All right.
What?
Cool. So, all right. So let's go. Rob, Patrick, and then Tom.
Rob is your shag.
Yeah.
Patrick is your Mary, and
Yep.
you're chopping Tom. And I'm curious, why are you chopping Tom?
I just cannot stand Tom Brady.
Ah,
So
okay.
It's
All right.
like regardless of the situation.
Okay, and
like you
Dan, who are you shagging? First off, is this politically appropriate for Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau's LGBT director? Would you tell us who he's getting ready to shag?
Can I take the fifth on this one?
No.
Okay then. Let's see. I would shag Tom because he needs a lesson.
I like that.
I would
too.
marry Rob, and Patrick is very cute but a little young, so I would chop him.
He's also a little goofy.
Yeah.
He's a little nerdy.
What do we got
which I
against
think-
nerdy?
Yeah, and that's sexy. All right, and Athena, what's the drag queen? All three of these football players are just dying to hear what the drag queen
Well, listen, I've only heard of one of them, and he's getting a chop because he's an asshole. And Rob, I don't know why all of you are so infatuated with Rob. He looks disgusting to me and freaking white privilege. I'm going to marry and shag Patrick, and no one's going to have a problem with it.
You broke every rule that we
I don't
played.
care. I'm not playing this game. I
But
wanna-
you were so dominant in it, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't
Talk
question.
about assertive. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, ma'am. And Tarek, who are you shagging?
I don't know. These are sad choices. I hate Tom Brady, and I hate his wife. Just like he supports Trump, she supports Bolsonaro.
Right.
And she's never done anything to elevate black Brazilian women, and that's an issue in modeling and the way that we picture Brazilian women, because most of them are black, by the way. And Rob Gronkowski, whatever your name is, looks like a Tampa bro. I could never.
This goes-
Patrick Mahomes, I'm marrying you, I'm taking your money, and I'm shagging you. And chopping you afterwards, because I don't need
Well,
it.
that's our Shag Marry Chop this week. We're finally finished with the Super Bowl. I know most of the LGBTQ community is happy to hear that news. Before we end tonight's show, we want to introduce you to our sponsor, and that's Jet's Pizza. And
Shag, marry, shag, marry.
if you come to South Florida, you got to try Jet's Pizza. We're getting ready. In fact, the host here getting ready to have it, and it's absolutely outstanding. Detroit-style pizza here in South Florida. Well, that's it, America. Another week with you and the world's first and most popular LGBTQ talk show in the world. Before we sign off, let's hear from our host for one final good night. And Power, let's start with you.
Well, good night, children. I think tonight's show is evidence as to why you should tune in every single week, because we have great guests and great topics. I cannot wait to get back to the time when we can all be in studio together with a new design so that we are not in little boxes and we're all at a long table discussing these issues. But until then, keep on tuning in every single Wednesday right here at 8 o'clock at It's Happening Out.
That's right. That sounds wonderful, Power. It honestly does. And good night from Faye. What?
Hey, what? So make sure you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, like, and all that fun stuff. Thank you. I always love being here. Make sure you hug your pets extra tight tonight, all right? They're only here for a short amount of time, and that's unconditional love 100%.
Faye's had a tough week. It's going to get better. And a good night from first-time guest at It's Happening Out as a host, Nathan Jasper Artilles.
Good night, everyone. Make sure you tune in every week. I have a huge, diverse crowd, which I completely love. I tune in every week, so make sure you do too.
And we've been happy to have you here. And good night from Dan Rios.
Good night, everyone. It's so great to be here and all these different perspectives and all these different beautiful people. Thank you. I love being part of it. And come down to Miami and have some fun as well. Visit Miami LGBTQ for all the latest happenings.
And we miss Miami and tourism, but it's coming back. It's going to roar back in 21.
Baby, it's popping.
And good night from Athena Dion.
Well,
Ma'am.
thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's such a pleasure to share this platform with everybody today. You all have such great opinions, and I love having this conversation so much. So thank you for having me. Please, Valentine's Day, we're having a Valentine's Love Ball. Come out to see me at our house in Wynwood. Showtime at 7. Amazing drag shows and amazing food. And if you're single, it's fine. We'll match you with the single drag queen. It'll work out. You won't leave alone, I promise.
That sounds fun. And good night from first-time host, also Tariq Turjaman.
Yay. Thank you for having me, guys. So much fun. So important to have more queer news here in South Florida. Come to Villain Theater Friday and Saturday. We have Black Lives Matters shows. We have queer Valentine's Day shows. Support queer comedy, please. And if you are a queer comic looking for a home, please get in touch with us at villaintheater.com. It's the same on Instagram. Follow me, Tarek, in Miami on Instagram.
Wait, that means I can apply?
You got to be funny, Al.
You can. Anyone's welcome. Anyone's welcome.
All right. Is what you've watched tonight important to you? You sat right around the kitchen table, right along with the rest of us. So remember, if it's important to you, it's happening out every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. It's a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of interesting things. Good night, America.